A few days ago, Arknights released their newest event, Exodus from the Pale Sea. And this event is pretty cool. As does every other event, they introduce new mechanics, new enemies, and of course, new operators. But I don't really care about Thornsalter or Techno, but what I do care about are the new stages. And so, I've challenged myself to answer the question, can you beat this new event using Babelknights only?
慣れ親しいいいチャンスだゾウがお前の
But first, this isn't the traditional Babelknights with operators such as Ascalon, Kaltzit, Amya, and Civilite Eterna. Instead, this Babelknights uses the current members of the faction according to the wiki and the game itself, so my team will be consisting of Wizardel, W, Ines, and Holderer. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the stages. Yes, EP1, the very first stage in the event. There's basically nothing interesting that happens here, so I don't really have anything to say about it. But while we are here though, let's introduce the new mechanic in this event, the salt flat terrain. Some enemies who enter this terrain will be slowed and given enough time will sink into the bottomless void, never to be seen again. Oh yeah, and I just want to add, I will refrain from using Wizardel unless I really need to use her because she just lets me chase every stage in this event, except for one. But we'll get to that stage later on in the video. So let's just move on to EP2. The second stage in this event is the first real stage that introduces this cannon mechanic. Every few seconds or so, this cannon will shoot out an attack that does AoE damage at a marked part of the map. And not only that, the event's enemies can use these cannons to move around. This stage additionally introduces the Garam Gourmet. Their damage is relatively low, but they attack with this barrel at first that does high damage and gives them and fellow enemies dodge. While annoying, they weren't threatening to me in the slightest. EP3 was yet another relatively basic stage, other than the fact that they introduced
that f***ing bird that I hate.
They don't really pose much of a threat to me, given I do thankfully have Ines who can attack air enemies. EP4 is when they introduced this seal enemy. If this enemy is in the salt flat terrain, they gain a huge speed boost and are completely immune to the effects of the said terrain. They are also very tanky. I did struggle a bit, so I switched a few things up, favoring Holderer's S3 instead of his S1 for bigger damage so he can kill the cannon significantly faster, and maybe to do some extra damage on the seal, and W's S3 instead of S2 for, okay, I'll be honest, I don't really remember why I went for S3. Maybe it was there to clear this tidal wave? I don't know, ask me in the past. EP5 was where I started to kinda struggle. This stage introduces the bridge builders, who really do live up to their name. Okay, what else do you want me to say about them? These guys make a bridge for enemies to cross, and when crossing the bridge, they gain a big speed boost, all the while these guys are also invisible. And this stage also introduces explosion chasers. These guys are not very good when it comes to dealing damage, but sometimes they will shoot a strong attack that stuns their target and are able to ride the seals. So again, I switched up my strategy. I used W's S2 instead because she was surprisingly able to lane hold the top lane all by herself with S2, using Ines to kill the bridge guys on top, placing Hodera more at the front to make sure he kills the explosion chasers before they get the chance to stun him, and using his S1 instead of S3 again, but I'm not really sure if it made a major difference in this clear. EP6 introduces the Bloody Chefs, who have a shield that reduces physical and arts damage taken for all enemies by 60% in the direction of where his shield is facing. They also draw more aggro on your operators, making them prioritize the Bloody Chef instead of any other enemy. This stage just has a massive gap of the salt terrain, separating the enemy spawn in the blue box, to which there are bridge builders who close that gap. I initially did struggle but got through, using Ines to pick off the bridge builders to sink all the enemies down slowly. EP7 is when things start to get a lot harder for me. This stage introduces the cock both swains, which are able to spawn in smaller enemies and can also do range damage. But they're not the reason this stage is hard for my team. What made this so hard was that I had to deal with all of this just using 3 operators. So even though I really tried, I just could not beat the stage using 3 operators. So, was I really gonna have to use Citadel here? Do I really want to cheese this even though it can definitely seem winnable? Yeah. Yes, I did. And I feel no shame about it. And here we are at the last stage. EP8 introducing this boss, and I mean, this is a normal stage anyway, so how hard could it possibly be? All I have to do is place Wizardel here, activate a Restory, and we just... What?
手段を疑う憎悪を見渡す限り戦場だ。
Yeah, so this stage was brutal, and it is all because of this boss. And Natasha the Atoner is absolutely loaded with insane abilities that make your average Soulsborne boss blush. While he's not blocked, he does a small range attack that does small AoE damage. He can increase the AoE of a nearby cannon to make positioning my operators a lot harder, and can take 80% less damage when near a cannon. I'm also not a big fan of the "fuck you, all your operators die instantly" move. Did I forget to mention this is all in Phase 1? Phase 2? It just gets even worse! He gets 200% and 50 more movement speed and attack speed respectively. He spawns an extra cannon, applies a 50% attack buff to newly spawning enemies, but causes them to lose HP every second, so thankfully this is irrelevant. I didn't even know he did this until I checked the wiki. Takes 80% less physical and art damage while not blocked, and if you do block him, all the cannons target the operator blocking him. And if all of that wasn't enough, to add insult to that gaping wound, he can phase through operators. This boss gave my team an insanely tough time. Even as I adjusted and tried different strategies, I still just kept losing. Was this really how the challenge ends? Was I gonna have to answer the question with no? Was I gonna have to end this video in an anticlimactic way? Well, unfortunately, it really seems like that's the case. Until this happened. And with that, I knew I could do it. If I just did everything right, I would be able to beat this stage. And it took me so many tries. 3 hours worth of just doing this one stage to get everything done correctly. Then, this happened.
Sate, 罠に踏み込んでくる虫けらはどんなやつなんでしょうね。どうすればいいか足元を見てみなさい。
危ないわね。これ式のことにも私が出張らないといけないの？今日はご機嫌なの。ついてないわね。踏んでみたら？私よくついてないわね。今日の貧乏たちであんたよ。
慣れ親しんですか。
このじゃがいもは爆弾でしょうか？ 方がいいわ。
誰を餌にするか決まった？どうすれば誰かが気づく前にあなたの死体を影に沈めてあげる。
Finally, after 3 hours of trying to beat the stage, I did it. So to answer your question of can you beat EP1 to 8 only using Babelknights? Yes, very much can.
But what about me?
Hell no!